Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I am your host, CrashLit. This is a special episode as today I am joined by USC men's basketball alum Ethan Anderson. Ethan, welcome to the pod. I am really excited to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, how's everything been going with you lately?
Everything's been great, man. I've been able to get out to a couple of USC games lately, and I show my support and show how much I love USC and how much of a diehard fan I'll always be.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. Definitely, we'll talk about that later. But let's kind of start with kind of the beginning of your basketball journey. So, what got you into basketball, and how old were you when that happened?
Yeah, really, my dad really got me into basketball, and I really started at about 4 years old at the YMCA, just kind of playing, casually and just, when you're a kid, you're just kind of having fun. You're not really thinking too much of it. And the craziest things now that I'm done playing, and I think about it. It's just crazy how, wasn't really thinking much of it. I'm just going to play, have fun. Didn't know where basketball could take me, where it would take me, where, how much money was involved in it or the business. I didn't know anything about that at that time. So yeah, at about 4 years old, just got started playing at the local YMCA by my house, and I remember just always being super excited to play. I would almost sleep in my uniform the night before, and just that real genuine love for the game.
I think that shows the dedication right there. Just sleeping in your jersey. Like, you don't hear that every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then what made you stay with it as you were growing up, even when, things got tough, like maybe you weren't playing as much as you'd have liked, or you just, were in a struggle or a slump?
hmm Well, when you're young like that, I mean, my parents did a good job of instilling in me the things that are most important. It wasn't really about, you know, at that YMCA level or even above that a little bit. It wasn't really about playing time or anything like that yet for me because, I mean, as I believe, is I would tell my kids one day is it's not, you don't need to put extra pressure on the game or extra pressure on yourself at that super young age because it's no college scouts watching at the YMCA watching 4 year olds play. So the playing time and all that aspect of it didn't really come into it yet. That was more so later down the line. But the way I really kept going through that is that, this game of basketball is a game of life. It's not about who's the best at it right then and there. It's just who doesn't quit, who's going to keep going, who's going to keep trying at it, who's going to miss shots but keep taking them and keep working on it. So that's really just how I've handled life and how I've handled my whole career. Just in terms of, hey, one game I may not have it, but I'm going to show up the next day and I'm going to be better.
Gotcha. And then talk to me about just your what your college recruiting process looked like, kind of talking with different schools, different coaches, and what led you to choose USC?
Well, yeah, I had an interesting process. I mean, I didn't have too many people in my life yet at that time that had done what I had done, had really been recruited on that level and really knew the ins and outs of it. But my parents did a great job of, connecting me with people that did and just doing the best they could. But like my dad, he really made a bunch of business decisions on my behalf that I didn't even understand at the time. But now to come to look at it, I wouldn't have made it as far as I did without those decisions. So my recruitment, as a freshman, I started on varsity and, I was playing a lot of minutes, but I didn't really know how it all worked yet. And so when that date came where coaches were able to contact me, I was always nervous, like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get a scholarship. I don't know if I'll even be able to, pursue this dream. I don't know. But I mean, I know I'm doing pretty good, but you never really know until the coaches tell you you're good. So I had no really idea, but then I would always be so nervous about it, thinking like, oh man, what am I going to do? And then once the day came, you know, a lot of coaches contacted me at first, and so, but there's also a difference between them contacting you and giving you an actual scholarship. So I had to go into that journey, just kind of learn as we go. Me and my family just kind of decipher what I wanted, what was best for me, and where I would be able to showcase my talents. And so I went to a great high school in Fairfax that had a lot of legends and college players and pro players come before me. So that really helped my recruitment. But yeah, I just remember one day I got my first offer from the University of Tulane, and then after that, I put all the pressure off of myself, thinking, okay, worst comes to worst, I can at least, I have a good school to go to at least. But after that, it just kind of seems like a blur now. But I ended up getting, offers from almost every school in the country, all over the world, I mean, all over the country. So, I originally actually got committed to UNLV, and so out of high school. So I kind of committed to them, was committed to them for months, went on visits with them. USC didn't recruit me at first. And so me being a local, really being from LA, it wasn't a dream school of mine yet for USC or anything like that because they never recruited me. So I just kind of like, okay, that just is what it is. I'll go to UNLV. But the coach actually got fired about a month before I was supposed to go. And so I had to immediately reopen my recruitment. And it was really last minute. So I, got some more offers after I reopened my recruitment. And USC was one of them. The other schools are real far away, like Providence, Utah, uh, Oregon State, Colorado, schools like that. But come to think of it, I mean, USC, they weren't promising me anything. I didn't have a starting spot. There was a bunch of point guards ahead of me. And it really, on paper, wasn't the best situation, but I just had a gut feeling that, you know what, I want to take this risk and I want to see what the noise I can make at USC, see if I can be able to get on the floor. They even told me at first that I probably wouldn't even play until my sophomore, junior year. And so, for some reason, I still just committed anyway. And the rest is history from there. I ended up starting every game in my USC career and coming in as a freshman starting and playing a lot of minutes and being able to be a huge impact and be the starting point guard for a school like USC. And even me being from this area, I didn't really know a ton about USC, even though I live 15 minutes away from it. So it was just my USC time was just so remarkable in the things I was able to do because I never dreamed or expected them to happen. I wasn't one of those kids that grew up saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go to USC," and was recruited immediately. I was one of those people that my lane happened to change, and I was just doing what God wanted me to do, and being on that path of just going to USC and meeting a bunch of great people.
Gotcha. And I want to ask you about your recruitment because I think I just learned about your you being basically set to go to UNLV until right until you said the coach got fired. Kind of were you being extra more careful about where you went? Because when you started college, that was before like the transfer portal was like you could go without sitting out a year, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, you had to be
yeah,
like extra careful where you wouldn't like, regret it without, being stuck. Obviously, that's now changed immensely since.
yeah,
But it's definitely just
exactly.
but it's definitely just interesting to hear about how athletes like yourself who committed pre transfer portal, pre NIL, you were, I guess, more methodical about where you're going to put yourself for like the next 3 to 4 years of college, pretty much.
Absolutely. I mean that I tell people all the time that decision is one of the biggest of your life because I mean it's all about the fit, the right school for you. And so if you choose the wrong one, your career will take a huge hit for that. And so yeah, it was a long process of thinking and talking to multiple people and just trying to see, who these coaches are, who are they for people. You never know if they're going to actually care about you. It's just so many different aspects that you don't know. Because when you go on visits at these schools, they show you the best case scenario. And so college basketball or any sport at that high level, the last thing it is best case scenario. There's always going to be ups and downs, and there's great moments, but there's also bad ones. There's moments where you lose your confidence, and if you don't have the proper coaching staff around you to handle that, it can get really tough for you. So absolutely, that decision, I was ripped every which way trying to decide for my schools the first time and the second time where I should go.
Gotcha. And then now I want to ask you out just what was like you just talked about just your time at USC and with the program, some like your just favorite moments, like just kind of just run through like some few of your like favorite just moments from your time with USC and the men's basketball program.
Absolutely. So, like I said, USC was such a great time for me because I was a bit of a hometown hero, somebody that went to Fairfax High School in Hollywood here. A lot of people I grew up around here, so it was just so crazy for me because it wasn't supposed to happen that way at first, and so when it all just came to be, my first great memory is the first exhibition game we had against Villanova, and what's funny was the previous year in high school, I'd always do like NCAA brackets with my friends, and I never quite really thought, I wanted to, but never thought I'd even be able to play in March Madness or be on a team like that, or even, just Villanova, such a staple in college basketball. So when I heard, okay, we're doing the exhibition game against Villanova, my first ever game, I'm like, wow, okay, I don't know what to expect here. But the memory of that, of beating them in that exhibition game, and me playing a almost perfect game and earning a starting spot off of an exhibition game, that's the moments I'll never forget. My first college basket being a dunk in that game. Just the fans going from the fans not really knowing who I was, being like a late pickup, and then after that game, just the love that I received and just the fame and everybody loving me and saying how much they like my game. That's definitely a big moment. And my other favorites are definitely all the UCLA games. All the times we've beaten them, and somehow, some way, I'd always find a way to have a good game against those guys, and the love that you receive for that, and just the USC program, and from going to class, and all the staff, the great people that are around me at USC, and just the students, the fan base, just all of them have given me great memories with the UCLA games. And it was funny for me to see how, because you hear about the rivalry, but you don't really get to see it in person and really feel how much the hate there is between just a regular USC student and a UCLA student. And I would even say, a regular student hates a UCLA student more than the basketball players actually hate each other. Because, I mean, some of those guys, I grew up playing basketball with for a long time anyway. So, those are my friends. But it was crazy for me to see, like, oh my God, like the frats and all the signs of them. Like, man, this is it's like a national holiday. And so then the energy in the arena in the game, no matter if it's at Galen Center or Pauley, that was the moments I would never forget. Just, every time I make a shot or make a pass or something, just everybody erupting and just seeing how passionate everybody was with that. And then, some of my other memories are our tournament appearances. The Elite Eight run was really special. And I got to play with a lot of special players at USC, some of my best friends to this day. And just seeing that, I never thought I'd be in the tournament, and then being there and seeing how people treat you in the tournament, and then going all the way to the Elite Eight. And just that experience was just so surreal. I just felt like I was in a dream. Then all the other times we went to the tournament also, my last year playing Miami, it was just teams that I never thought I'd get to play against. And then just the environment of the tournaments and just being able to realize how many people are watching those games and how supportive everyone is of us at USC being there for the first time in a while, being that going that deep through to the tournament. And so those memories, my time at USC, I love to remind people, yeah, I transferred after graduating in 3 years, but USC will always be my home. USC is the place, that I rep as an alumni. That's the place where, everything happened in my life and it changed my life for the better. It set me up for the things I do now. And just USC is just forever home to me.
Gotcha. And then I want to actually ask you about the Elite Eight too, about that Elite Eight team. So you talked about it. So it seemed like really cool experience. Was it like getting, just like realizing like kind of, oh wow, we're like, making it kind of far in the tournament, like kind of just you win one, then you win another, then you're like, oh wait, second weekend, and then suddenly, you're playing the Elite Eight. What was that like? And then also talk to me, what was it like about, getting a ring the following at the first game of the following season? And I remember that ring game because that was my first ever USC basketball game I went to as a freshman.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that LEA experience, it was COVID. So it wasn't as many fans that it should have been. But still, the feeling of, just how detailed everything was and just how, you know, we're getting police escorts to the game and just things like that. Fans are waiting at the hotel. It just really felt like we were in the NBA in that moment. And just for me, it was just crazy because, like I said, coming from LA and quote unquote not even supposed to be here, not even supposed to be on this team, not even supposed to be a starter, not supposed to, now I dealt with some injuries that year, but it was such a blessing for me to be able to experience that and playing with Evan Mobley, the Mobley brothers, all the guys on the team, Drew Peterson, Taj Eady, all those guys, man. It was such a joy to be around those guys, and the COVID experience created a different kind of bond for us because we were only able to hang out with each other. We weren't able to really be in contact with the outside world. So that experience for me was just surreal, and it's something stories that I'll tell forever, just based on what hard work can get you when you just, you're not. I didn't come into college expecting anything, and so I feel like that's why I made it so far. I just came in ready to work, and I just did whatever the team really needed me to do, and so that experience, yes, it's unforgettable.
I bet. And then what did you study at USC? And then was it always part of your plan to graduate in 3 years?
I studied real estate development, and no, it wasn't actually. So once I found out that I was deciding to transfer, USC actually did me a favor and allowed me to graduate in that 3 years just because of the love they have for me, the love I have for them, and so I was able to complete my degree in that summer when I was leaving, and be able to get that degree in 3 years.
Yeah, it seems smart, especially before starting a new chapter. Like, why leave with just that when you're that close?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I want to ask you about just a bit about Wyoming. What drew you to it after you decided to enter the transfer portal?
I was looking for a spot where, at USC I had a big role, absolutely, but I wanted a more bigger scoring role, trying to, get more points so that I can, potentially set myself up for a better professional career and be a little bit more appealing. So that's really what I was chasing in the portal and trying to find. And, me and a teammate from USC, Max, we were able to go there together, and the coach, he spoke very highly of me and watched all my USC clips and all that stuff. And so yeah, Wyoming drew me because I was able to have a bigger role in scoring, really.
Was it kind of obviously, going with Max? Was that kind of also sort of like, I guess, a deal sweetener in a way for you as well?
Absolutely, because I didn't necessarily want to move to Wyoming from California just by myself. So having Max there with me, that definitely played a part in the decision to have another familiar face.
And then can you talk to me about like your first few days at Wyoming? What was just like, it like at first, and how'd you, fit in with your new teammates?
Oh, Wyoming was a special situation, man. I mean, the complete opposite of Los Angeles, California. So it was a big culture shock for me, not seeing very many people that looked like me and just being in an environment where, that was a real college town. And so USC, we have a bunch of other attractions here. So USC was definitely popular, and we got a lot of fans in there every night. But Wyoming was, the only thing to do in town. And so that was definitely, I'm glad I got to experience that and living in the snow and just, such a small town, having a small airport, just one plane a day leaving. And it's just like, it goes back to me saying, like, basketball's taken me all around the world. And I've been able to experience these different lifestyles. Without basketball, I would have never lived in Wyoming for a year. I wouldn't have been in any of these places. And so that experience for me was unique, and it was a blessing because it just gave me even more wisdom, even more ammo to knowing, all the ins and outs of college basketball, knowing the different situations you can be in, the different teams, different environments. And so, although Wyoming didn't go perfectly in how as we planned, and for me, I'm still thankful for it because I was able to get even more knowledge and be able to, I did end up scoring more points and just being able to see a different side of college basketball.
Gotcha. And then obviously, like, I actually grew up going to San Diego State games since my dad went there, so I know like how like into basketball, like, especially the Mountain West is in general. Like every night, like those arenas are always like filled out, sold out. So
Yeah.
was it kind of that experience too with the games?
Absolutely. Wyoming, USC, we definitely had it rocking, but Wyoming was a different type of rocking too because it was, the arena's a little bigger. And like you said, I mean, they're really serious about their basketball and their sport. So that was pretty cool to see and playing San Diego State and Boise State and being able to play those different schools and see, perspective from a different conference and seeing just all those people still being same passionate about the game and just being able to, have a new fan base fall in love with me. And so that was a real good experience.
Then obviously your time at Wyoming didn't end the way you hoped it would. What did you learn about yourself though through the adversity that you faced during your time as a cowboy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just learned how resilient I am, and I learned that coming from where I come from, just playing at the YMCA and growing up in LA, that I'm very resilient, and there isn't basketball. I didn't make it that far on a coincidence. God had a plan for me, and you know, adversity is a friend of mine. Adversity is something that I've seen time and time again, and that I've had to overcome throughout my career. And so I really learned that no matter where you put me out in the world while I'm playing basketball, I can make a difference and be a big impact on any team in the country. And so that's really what I learned, and just learning that basketball also is more so of a business. It's not always fan love and people screaming your name and signing autographs and stuff. It's also, fans hating you, fans disagreeing with how you play, coaches not liking the way you play, coaches, being upset because of losses. And it's a lot more things. I learned there's a lot more to the game than just, peaches and cream. But, they say be careful what you wish for because this is something I've worked towards my whole life. But then I really got to see the other side of it and how there's two ways this thing can go. And it really showed me that my USC time was really an even bigger blessing being in Wyoming because me being able to stay home, being in a Power Five conference, being able to go to all these Elite Eights and be a starting point guard, that was something that was really special. And when at the time I was playing at USC, I didn't realize how special it was until I really got to Wyoming and got to see a different side of things. So that's really what I learned mostly.
When you talked about earlier, like saying you kind of learned about sort of the business side of it, was like Wyoming a place where you also sort of learned about sort of that more business side of the sport?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I was playing there, it's more of, I wasn't really viewed as a person. You're viewed as just like a number. And so if your number can't produce, or if your number, some coach likes a different number, or coaches that think that number's good enough, you could be moved on from. And that's another tough side of college basketball. These stars and players that you see doing well that you like, they had to beat somebody else out for it. Someone else is not playing because of that. And so, yeah, the business side of Wyoming, I really got to learn that. And that's when NIL had got started. So NIL was able to make a couple dollars with that in Wyoming and stuff. And so I really got to see that, it's either produce or leave type of thing.
Gotcha. And then, so for your final year of eligibility, you decided to go to Pepperdine. What were you looking for in a school for that final year of college hoops? And how did Pepperdine check those boxes and what you were looking for?
Yeah, mainly I was looking to come home. I really wanted to be back with my family and be able to, on my very last year in college basketball, to have all my people be able to see me play consistently and to just really reminisce and enjoy the journey that we've come from and the journey that we've had. And like I said, none of this I could have guessed that would have happened. All the success at USC, Wyoming, Pepperdine, none of the success anybody in my family could have guessed it would happen this way. Being a starter at every school I've been to and playing on tournament teams, we could have never guessed that. And so Pepperdine was a place I just wanted to come home and really enjoy my people, being able to let them see me play in a stress-free environment, just being able to, play for a coach like Coach Romar that like my dad grew up with, being able to come out there and try to get a couple more wins for him and just playing with those guys at Pepperdine was a great experience because I went from, being a young guy at USC to at Pepperdine. Now they view me as super old. And so I was kind of like the uncle of the team there. And it really checked my boxes because of its location and the kind of people the organization was made up of.
So you kind of had more of a leadership role with the Waves then?
Yep, absolutely had a real big. I mean, I was a captain at USC, but Pepperdine also named me a captain of their team. Just being able to lead those guys and be able to teach some of those young guys how to navigate through. Because at that time, college basketball was even different from when I started. Like you said, the transfer portal was going then, so those guys, I was wanted to be able to give them some knowledge, and I just think it's what is it worth me being able to go through all these experiences and play at USC and all these big games when I'm not able to, help somebody else down the line navigate all that stuff. So USC, I believe I mean, not USC, Pepperdine, I believe my calling there was to really help those young guys out and, give them the knowledge and the wisdom that I maybe didn't have coming up, just trying to go through it so that they can better themselves.
Gotcha. And then what was it like getting to play with Bobakar Coulibaly again, who you played with, is it 2 years, I believe, at USC? What was
Yep.
it like getting to play with him again? And then how was just, you taught, alluded to a little bit, but just how was your just experience at Pepperdine just more positive than your time at Wyoming?
Yeah, it was nice to play with Bubakar. I mean, me and Bubakar actually played together in middle school too for some years, and so we played at middle school, USC, and at Pepperdine. So it was real nice to be reconnected with him, a player whose skill set really complements mine, and being able to throw him some lobs and do what I was doing at USC a lot with him, and with Big O and Evan Mobley, Zam Mobley. So that was a real comfortable feeling, and yeah, the love that I received from Pepperdine, was really something that I really needed at the time, really nurturing. Just being able to see that people appreciate my game and appreciate what I bring to a team, the unselfish play and the defense and the scoring, whatever it may have been that night. Just being able to really, take in all the love because once you're going and you're in it, and I'm at USC, I'm not really taking the love in quite yet. I'm just trying to focus on the next accomplishment, next thing, next win, next game. And so Pepperdine was a place for me to really enjoy and soak in the love that I've earned over the years.
And then obviously you kind of talked about your family is able to go to more games at Pepperdine compared to when you were in Wyoming. So is that also kind of added to your, experience with the waves as well?
Absolutely. I mean, that's huge for me being able to have my mom, my dad, my brother, people like that coming to the game because I mean, at USC that was a regular thing. Every single game they're there. I would come see them after and all that. But Wyoming was a bit of a different situation where after the game I'm just going back to the apartment type of thing. I don't really have anyone at the game as much. So yeah, that definitely played a role for me. And I was able to have a nice senior night there. Although I wish I could have had my senior night at USC, but it was also a really good experience for me at Pepperdine. They showed me a lot of love and honor in my career.
And then what did you study at Pepperdine? It's like, or just get your graduate degree and like, what'd you get your master's in?
I didn't finish the master's because I was only there for 1 year. But I was studying master's in psychology, so I was just able to do just 1 year of it, even though it was a 2 year program. So I could go back and finish it, but as of right now, there's not really a need for it quite yet in my career. So, but yeah, I was able to work towards a master's in psychology.
And then were you ever thinking about going pro at all, like after like Pepperdine? And if so, what was that process like? Are you still considering it, or did you decide not to pursue that path?
Oh, well, yeah, I definitely met with several agents and stuff about going to play professionally overseas or G League and that aspect of it. But my decision to retire from basketball just kind of came from, I kind of exhausted myself out with all the business side of it. And it's really basketball is a game I love and it's given me everything in life. But I also felt like it was time to embark on a new journey and to conquer something new. And so I definitely had a bunch of talks with professional. I had contracts on the table that different opportunities that I could have pursued, but, you know, God just kind of led my eyes in a different direction and didn't really have the desire to play professionally anymore and to go through that grind all over again and starting over. And for me, I'm one of the guys that really respect the game. And so if I couldn't come in and put in all the extra hours that I used to put in, like when I was at USC and playing, then I decided it was time to let it go because I couldn't, my body, my mind wasn't allowing me to do that anymore. So I wanted to leave the game, playing it the right way, leave the right way, and then I was able to get into what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So what is that actually now? That was kind of my next question. If you based on what you're doing, it's like, what are you up to now these days?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started a trucking business. So it's transportation using like the big trucks that you see all the time on the freeway, and we kind of just contract with different companies like Amazon and Home Depot, Walmart, and just a bunch of separate brokers and stuff like that to transport goods all around. I'm mainly in California, but we also go to Arizona or Las Vegas sometimes, and yeah, so I actually started that with my brother. And so it was really nice for me to be able to, do my college career, but at the end of the day, come back with my brother and start something that for me was more in terms of generational wealth. That's why, the switch was kind of an easier decision for me because I'm thinking about my future family I'm going to have and all that stuff. I mean, it's, as you know, the likelihood of my son getting the same skills as me in basketball, that's to be the only thing I can pass down to him. I feel like I failed as a father, but my future kids, if I'm able to leave them a business, a cash flowing business that I'm able to build with my brother, that's been going really well for us. And so I really wanted to, give my son a bigger life, something to where, yes, you can go play basketball, football, wherever that may be, but you also have options to do other things. You can go, work in the business. You can go pursue whatever you want to do. And so that's really my motivation and why I stopped playing and why I wanted to really, conquer this trucking business and logistics side of it because it's also a business that, is recession proof. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing. Every restaurant, every business, every place needs their supplies, needs their simple general supplies to be able to run. And so I wanted to get into something that wasn't as up and down as basketball. It wasn't something that was, as high and low as basketball. Something that was kind of more even keel, consistent, something that I can build without a lot of capital going into it. And so, yeah, once again in my life with that, I never thought that I'd be able to, own two trucks now and be able to run this business, daily But, God has once again made a way for me and been able to, show favor in my life. And I've been able to help a lot of people. I've been able to create some jobs. I've been able to, really do something on the other side on the business side of things.
So, what have you learned about yourself from, being an entrepreneur, starting, your trucking business, and then and then how is like what you've, learned about yourself and just what have you been able to take from, your basketball days and like be able to like apply that to how you like run, operate, just manage
Yeah.
the business on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, yeah, everything that I'm doing in my business, I've learned from basketball, from being a captain at USC and being a leader. It's all about team. And so, our business, we have a team. Me and my brother are the biggest parts of that team as the owners, and then we have some other people also. But same thing as my job as a point guard at USC with Big O, with Jonah Matthews, and all those great players, and the Mobleys, and all those great players. My job is to get them involved. My job is to get them the ball to help them feel most comfortable on the course. They can give their best to the team. And so, same situation now. I'm just assisting people in a different way. That's all it is. Just allowing people to grow and allowing me and my brother to create jobs and just be able to, handle business efficiently. Same thing as the court. I still in my life view things as like basketball because basketball is so relatable to everything in life. So, like I said, I'm just assisting in a different way and delivering, merchandise and being able to just really get into something that's consistent and be able to be the same way I was with basketball, being consistent, hardworking, and learning about myself that if I have my mind on something, if there's a goal and there's something I can see and reach, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing that's going to be able to stop me from getting to it. Once I see that there's a plan and I see that it works, I'm going to find a way. My brother's the same way. This business didn't just fall in our lap. We had to go get it and put in a lot of hours, unpaid hours, to where we can get it to where it is now so that we can be a profitable business.
Yeah, I'm super happy to hear about all your success and with everything that's going on with it, Ethan. I'm really, really excited to learn about that. And then I
Appreciate
want
it.
to ask you a few more things coming back to USC. Like you've been at a couple of games. I remember I saw you at one of them it's about a month ago, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So what's it like being back at USC for men's basketball games?
Well, yeah, I mean, that first game I came back and the love I received I was surprised at how many people remember me. How many people every time I go to the game, how many the donors and fans say I'm their favorite player from USC, and it's just a big shock to me. I'm like, wow, man, there's so many people that are NBA All Stars right now playing and all this stuff, and for them to tell me that I'm still one of their favorite players and they loved the way I played and really enjoyed and missed me playing. I mean, this is a special place in my heart I have for USC fans and the love that I was able to receive coming back to the game on the jumbotron and people really welcoming me back to the place that I've gave so much to. That was really awesome to see. And there's been a coaching change, and so these aren't the coaches that I play for, but they also came by, shook my hand, and showed respect to me, and that was really great to see. And so I'm looking forward to in the future coming to more and more games. I want to be a season ticket holder. I want to be there as much as I can. I want to meet the new coaches even more, talk with them, and also a dream of mine is to be able to come back and be an assistant coach at USC one day, and to offer all the knowledge that I gained from here, and just offer that Los Angeles perspective to the team and stuff like that. So that's coming back to that game that was a really good day for me, just being able to, once again receive that love.
Okay, gotcha. And I'm actually gonna come back to that coach. You talk about wanting to get into coaching, but first I kind of want to ask you like what's it been like, getting to know, Eric Musselman and his staff here, and then as well as just also all the players too. Have you gotten to know any of them? Because really, as far as by my count, only Harrison Horner is the only guy still left from when you left USC.
Yeah. So I haven't actually had the time to, chop it up with any of the guys yet or really talk to Coach Musselman much. We just had one little conversation. But Coach Musselman actually, was involved in my recruiting process when I was coming out of high school and stuff. So I also always knew of him. And then one of the assistants, Quincy Poindexter, he played in the NBA. I also had some run-ins with him throughout my basketball career too. So I'm pretty familiar with them. But yeah, Harrison Horner, he's the only one from when I played. And so just being able to see that it's a whole new team, that's interesting for me. And I hope to, soon be able to have some more time so I can come down and talk to those guys and get to know them a little better. But yeah, it's to speak to the business side of it. College basketball is forever changing. The rosters never look the same year in and year out. It's people only got 4 years of transferring, so it's interesting to see just in front of my eyes how college basketball has changed since I first got there into now. And so I mean, I definitely am happy that players will be able to get paid what they deserve. I'm happy about that. Wish I was a little later down the line so I can get paid, but definitely, it's great to see, just the USC fans still coming out to games, even though it's a new coach, and still supporting those guys because I do know Musselman is a great coach, and I do really believe in what he's doing.
Yeah, so it's definitely been, I think I don't want to speak for anyone's half. I think I can speak for a lot of people when it was a little weird at first, like what was it, 14, 15 new guys this year. This year,
Exactly.
like at the first game. So it was like definitely, getting used to it now. But at the time, I kind of want to ask you about like what are your kind of plans for coaching? Have you like looked at that at all? How to get involved with that? Like what's kind of your plan? You talked about wanting to, come back and help you contribute to USC as an assistant coach.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm really still building my business up, and we're in the beginning stages, and there's just so much higher that we can go in business. And so I'm definitely my main focus right now is to build that up to where my business is really self-efficient, to where I don't really have to cater to it as much. But as they say, a business is like a newborn baby. So right now I'm really feeding that right now and trying to grow that. So where my goal is to really come in, when I am able to have an opportunity to coach somewhere and hopefully to be USC, that I already have like, my income from my business and I'm just there, doing it for the love of the game, doing it for the love of USC. That's where I really want to be. So I don't necessarily want it to be, oh, this is how I make all my money. This is my job, how I pay the bills, because I believe that can also, take the genuine love out of it for a coach. Makes you want to win extra bad and makes you care about winning more than the players. For me, I just want to be that person that cares for the players and players can directly relate to because I've been in their shoes and I've done everything that they're doing. And so for me, yeah, that's something I'm going to look into later down the line. Um, I just wanted to throw that out there first right now just to plant a couple seeds. But yeah, that's something I definitely want to do in the future.
Gotcha. And then I want to ask you about just USC, obviously new conference this year. We talked a little bit about the new staff and new staff, pretty much new team. Looking at their schedule, kind of based on how they've played and their remaining schedule, obviously they had suffered a tough loss today against Wisconsin about an hour and a half ago. So I just came from that actually. But what do you think the key to success is in both this first season under Eric Musselman in the Big Ten, as well as just in the future seasons?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I was telling some people, I mean, it's just more about building, man. It's our USC team, I happened to come in at USC at the time where it was time for us to go up and time for us to, start going to the tournament again. But it's a process, man. I mean, the year before I got there at USC, I think their record was 17-17. And so it's a process, man. And Musselman's going to do a really good job. But, they've got some big wins this year. I'm happy to really see that. I'm always rooting for them. And I would really just tell people that it's a process, man. You can't expect Musselman to win a national championship his first year with 15 new guys. So it's really just a process. Just as Andy built the process, he built the organization year by year, year after year, being able to consistently get good guys to come there. And I mean, USC is such a great place to be. So I believe more and more great players will continue to come through USC. And so I'm always a fan watching. I'm always never upset when they lose or anything like that because I've been on the other side of that when fans are pissed off when you lose and they don't understand the things that really go into the game and how much you did to try to win. So, yeah, I think we got some really big wins, and I believe we're headed in the right direction, man. I mean, it's the fact that they were able to even be this good in their first year with all these new players. That's tough to do because I was on a team like that when I first came in where pretty much 10 to 12 guys were new and you're just trying to figure it out. You don't have much time and you're playing schools that have been together for a while. And so I have full belief in anything USC that we will succeed and that in the coming years and even this year we're gonna make some real noise and we're gonna get back to that tournament.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I Well, I truly don't understand it myself. One thing I've constantly been preaching both on my podcast and in some of my other appearances, like I've been doing on like reporting stuff on USC. Like I've been really preaching patience in year one under Musselman. So I definitely think try to stay positive for sure, but just understand, like you said, it's a process for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with that many new players, and of course, Musselman coming from a whole different school. It's a lot of things that people don't realize that it's tough for him to just automatically make a Elite 18. That's something like our Elite 18. Me, the Mobley's have been playing together for a while. We had a lot of new guys too, and so it took time. We weren't Elite Eight ready first game or even before conference started, and so it's definitely a process. But we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. How do you still, when do you think you'll next make it to a game? Just kind of out of curiosity, just like, or how many more you think you'll make, or you still
Um,
just depend.
I'm gonna definitely come to that UCLA game because I definitely want to be there for that, and just feel
Fours
that
down.
exactly, be able to feel that environment one more time, just be able to be in there and do that. But yeah, I'm pretty local, and I'm out of town a little bit for the business, but I'm mostly here, so I'll be at the next couple games for sure.
Gotcha. I'm gonna ask you this. I wasn't sure I would ask you, but it kind of comes up and it feels kind of perfect to ask you. How do you feel about Kobe Johnson now being a Bruin?
Yeah, I've actually talked to Kobe, and so it's interesting to see this, like you said. I mean, how the game has changed. Before transferring to UCLA from USC is just such a blasphemous thing. But the game has changed. And I've always preached to players, choose yourself because college basketball is going to choose college basketball every time. It's not gonna slow down. It's not gonna wait for you. Coaches aren't gonna wait for you, and so it's for me, it's a choose yourself situation. So Kobe chose and decided that UCLA was going to be a good place for him and a better place for him to continue his career. So Kobe's a guy I love. He was a freshman when I was at USC. Really loved playing with Kobe. I knew he would be such a good player that he is today, and so I really, it's going to be definitely a fun game, and just being able to see them compete and to just see that environment one more time, and just being able to see all those great players. And when you're a fan, sometimes you don't appreciate those games because it's just you're just having fun. But there's a lot of talent on that court, man. Just going back to our games and how many NBA players were playing in those games, and how many great basketball players were giving it their all every possession.
Yeah, and one thing I've learned just from being at so many games is just you have to. I've just learned not to blame anyone for doing what they think is best. So I don't blame you for leaving. As much as it hurts to see Kobe go to the dark side, I don't
Yeah,
even blame him for it. I mean, I'm bummed, but I don't blame him. But
yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Because I mean,
Everyone's just gotta do what's best for them. It's kind of how I've seen it, and like I think that's just everyone else's. So why can't the players? Is how I've looked at it.
exactly. Yeah, players often get shamed for doing that when these organizations are going to do it anyway. So, like I said, yeah, I support Kobe.
All right, I got a few more questions for you. What is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever gotten. Let me think here. I would say to live in the moment, man, and it's crazy to think. Like I've been telling you, man, it's the places I've been with that orange basketball has been amazing, man, just absolutely amazing. So I would say advice for these young players and the players that's playing now at these high levels to enjoy these every moment. Try to keep your mind where your feet are in that moment because it's so easy to think about the next game and the next class you got to go to, the next interview, the next practice. It's really easy to have your mind be wandering in the future, but then you'll look up in 4 years and you wouldn't have enjoyed any of that time and the great things that you're able to do that not very many people get to do. So that's advice I've ever gotten is, be in the moment, enjoy the moment. I'm a big fan of celebrating your wins because I believe in life we dwell on our losses so much. You miss a shot, you have a game where you can't really make a shot, you're turning the ball over, you're gonna sit and think about that for days. But when you win and you play good, you just, get happy for 5 minutes and you just throw it away. So I really think that just living in the moment is the best advice I've gotten.
Absolutely. And then one more question. What's your advice to anyone who aspires to, be like you and, play college basketball? Like just
Yeah.
kind of like who's like might be young kid looking, listening, who happens to listen to this and, is saying like, how can I do what Ethan Anderson did?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best thing I like to tell people is, I'm pretty strong. I was athletic, but to start, I'm not very tall. I'm 6 feet. I'm not freakishly tall or anything like that. I'm a regular person. I walk up and down the street, I'm the regular size of everyone else. And so I believe if I could do it, that you can do it. It's just a place where you just got to have your mind in a persistent space, understand that there's going to be ups and downs, but you just got to keep going because I beat out a lot of people just because I didn't quit, not because I had the ultimate God given talent. I just continued to work and I said, hey, I was able to sacrifice my ego at USC and all the other places, just being able to do what the team needs you to do. That's how you really get on the floor, and you just want to be in those environments where people are watching, and the right people will find you, no matter where you're from, no matter where you're at. If you play the game the right way and you do it good, you're good at what you're doing, they'll find you. And so my advice is just to be, every single day, get better, do what you can to get better, be relentless in your approach to your dreams because no one else is going to grant you your wishes and grant you your dreams. It's just something that you're going to go for. And really, what else are you doing in life that's more important than chasing your dreams? So that's really my advice.
All right. Love to hear that. Ethan Anderson, thank you so much for your time and joining me on the podcast today, on Behind the Caution Tape today. It was an honor to talk to you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me. It's nice to do another USC interview like I used to do with a USC student. And so it's been great. Thank you for having me, man. I'll be seeing you real soon at the game.
Yes, I'll be at that UCLA game. Four is down. We'll make sure to get this dub on January 27th. If
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that'll do it for us here behind the caution tape. Thank you again for joining. Big thank you again to Ethan Anderson. Make sure to follow him on Instagram at Ethan Anderson20. Make sure to follow me at CrashLit. Check out my website, crashlit.com. I'll see you all Monday for the weekly Monday rundown. Fight on.
Right on.